My husband and Bai Guang were kidnapped at the same time, and the kidnappers demanded that my husband choose between the two of us. Without hesitation, I told my husband that Bai Guang wasn't even pregnant, and even her cancer was a lie. In a fit of anger, my husband chose me. As a result, Bai Guang was tortured to death that night, her lower body rotting away. Upon hearing the news of the death of his white moonlight, my husband didn't even look up, simply muttering, "Serves you right." Later, after 3 years of struggling through IVF, I finally became pregnant. Enduring until the due date, my husband burst into the delivery room, wielding a hammer to smash my lower body. He pulled out the bloody baby, ignoring my cries, and with the hammer, he ended the baby's last breath. "You should endure all the suffering Xiao Xiao went through." My husband glared at me viciously. "If it weren't for avenging Xiao Xiao, you'd deserve to bear my child." I swallowed my last breath in despair. And when I opened my eyes again, I was back on the day of the kidnapping. Chapter 2, Meng Xinan, who exactly are you going to choose? The blade sliced across the throat, spilling blood. I woke up with a sharp pain, seeing Meng Xinan across from me with a hesitant expression. A surge of overwhelming hatred and bitterness rose in my chest. I suppressed my emotions, but before I could speak, I heard Xia Shuqiao sobbing beside me. "Xinan, I'm so scared, please save me." My stomach hurts so much. The previous life, Xia Shuqiao also cried and begged Meng Xinan to save her. Driven by an overwhelming will to survive, I didn't hesitate to expose Xia Shulan's fake pregnancy and cancer scam, all to make Meng Xinan see what kind of person his white moonlight really was. It was precisely because I revealed Xia Shulan's secrets. In a fit of anger, Meng Xinan chose to save me and abandon Xia Shulan, leading to her tragic death today. Now, Meng Xinan looks at me with guilt, but I don't ask him to save me. Instead, I smile silently at him, accepting his choice. He averted his eyes in pain, then pointed at Xia Shuqiao. "I choose Xia Shuqiao." Meng Xinan didn't dare to look at me. "Cici, I'll come save you after I settle Xia Qiao." I didn't respond. I just calmly watched as he ordered the kidnapper, "Let Xia Qiao go." The kidnapper sneered. "They say the head of the Meng family deeply loves his wife, but it seems that's not the case." "Shut up." Just as Meng Xinan interrupted, Xia Shulan was pushed out by the kidnappers. He instinctively rushed forward to embrace her, but his gaze fell on me, as if he wanted to say something. Xia Shulan in his arms was already clutching her stomach and crying, "Xinan, I'm so scared, my stomach hurts so much." Xia Shulan was crying, her tears like pear blossoms, looking like a fragile kitten. Meng Xinan left me behind without a second thought, carrying Xia Shulan away on the spot. In my desperate situation, I looked at the kidnapper and the cliff just a stone's throw away. Taking advantage of the kidnapper's distraction, I jumped off the cliff without hesitation, not for any particular reason. I had already learned that the area below was surrounded by a large number of police officers, and there was an air cushion prepared by the police in advance. In my previous life, if it weren't for Xia Shulan's clever but misguided attempt to seduce the kidnapper, engaging in intimacy with him while criticizing and mocking him for his shortcomings, the kidnapper never would have considered killing anyone. This is all the truth I learned from the case files. However, Meng Xinan wouldn't listen. He was consumed by his own hatred, and I couldn't pull him back. Now, with the biting mountain wind, I gambled everything and jumped off the cliff, landing on an air cushion. There was a panicked sense of survival as I lost consciousness, but before that, I called my teacher. "Teacher, I agree to the lab dedication you mentioned last time." Chapter 3. I wake up again. I'm already in the hospital. Meng Xinan, sitting by the bed with an4 drip on his hand, breathed a sigh of relief when he saw me wake up. "Cici, did you ever think about the consequences when you jumped off the cliff?" His tone carried a hint of resentment. "If something had happened, did you ever think about what I would do?" As I looked at Meng Xinan, I tried to speak, but my throat felt like it had been scraped by a dull knife, pain rendering me mute. Then the hospital room door opened, and Xia Shulan came in, her face lighting up with joy. "Sister Shi, you're awake." Xia Shulan's eyes were wet with tears as she happily held my hand. "I heard you jumped off a cliff, and my heart almost stopped. I almost lost the baby." "Thank goodness you're okay," Xia Shulan said with a aggrieved tone. "If something had happened to you, I would have felt guilty for the rest of my life. How could I face you and Xinan in the future?" Xia Shucheng's genuinely worried expression made me feel queasy. I yanked my hand back forcefully, but Xia Shucheng's eyes reddened. "You still blame me, don't you?" "I knew you blamed me," Xia Shucheng said injuredly, looking at Meng Xinan. "Maybe I should just leave. I'm always in the way between you and Sister Cece, making her unhappy. It's all my fault. I'll leave today. Seeing Xia Shuchang about to leave, Meng Xinan's guilt had completely vanished. He grabbed Xia Xuanqiao's wrist and turned to speak to me. Qiao Qiao has been having nightmares all night because of your cliff jump. Terrified that you might not wake up. Can't you be less selfish and at least spare a pregnant woman? You know how little time Qiao Qiao has left. Meng Xinan looked at me coldly. Ultimately, your cliff jump was just too reckless and self-indulgent. Your recklessness shouldn't be paid for by Qiao Qiao. The sore throat made me frown. If it were before, hearing Meng Xinan defend Xia Shulan, I would have already had a big fight with Meng Xinan, then gone into a cold war for days and nights, waiting for Meng Xinan to comfort me. If he didn't come, I would definitely lower myself to beg him. But things are different now. I strained my vocal cords and managed to croak out. I didn't want her to leave. I looked at Xia Shumeng. Meng's home is your home, you can stay as long as you like. Seeing that I was being sensible, Meng Xinan's expression softened, but Xia Shumeng glared at me fiercely from where Meng Xinan couldn't see. I indifferently tugged at my lips, and then heard Meng Xinan say again, because Qiao Qiao is pregnant and you've experienced a kidnapping, I really don't feel comfortable letting Qiao Qiao live alone, so, I had Aunt Zhang pack up Qiao Qiao's things, and she'll be moving in with us. What do you think? The tone of inquiry carried a cold, firm certainty. There was absolutely no room for me to refuse. Sis Shi, if you're not happy, I'm feeling great, I agreed readily, which left Xia Shuqiao with no room to make an issue of it. Even Meng Xinan, who rarely showed any emotion, gently patted my head, gave me some advice to rest well, and mentioned that it wasn't good for a pregnant woman to stay in the hospital too long, so he took Xia Shuqiao away. I stayed in the hospital for half a month. I only met Meng Xinan once. He was either too busy or claimed he was helping Xia Shuqiao pick out household items. Honestly, I didn't care what he was doing, and I didn't want him to come to the hospital to visit me. But Xia Shuqiao always called to tell me every little detail, pretending to be hesitant. I didn't mean to, Sis Cece, but Xinan insists on doing everything himself. You're not mad at me, are you, Sis Cece? Xia Shuqiao's provocation felt like punching cotton, ineffective and frustrating. Once upon a time, whenever Xia Shuqiao and Meng Xinan got close, I would be ignited as well. Now, I just smile and say, how could that be? I'm glad Xinan can take good care of you. Xia Shuqiao suffered in silence. But by the day I returned to the Meng household, she finally exploded. Chapter 4. The master bedroom I gave up became Xia Shulan's room. The original color scheme was replaced with a girlish pink. I didn't mind, but Xia Shulan followed me around saying, Xinan thinks pink wallpaper is better, more in line with my personality. He always thinks I'm like a child who can't grow up and needs to be taken care of. And the slippers too, they were picked by Xinan. Xia Shuang pretended to be surprised. Oh, Sis Shi, Xinan and I are wearing matching slippers. You're not mad, are you? I really didn't mean it. My gaze fell on Xia Shuang's cartoon bunny slippers, and I remembered how I once asked Meng Xinan to wear matching slippers with me. Meng Xinan just said I was too childish and told me to grow up and not follow every trend, so, Meng Xinan wasn't incapable of loving. It's just that the one he wanted to unconditionally spoil wasn't me, no. I replied coldly, meeting Xia Shulan's challenging gaze. I think it suits you. Xia Shulan picked up the photo on the table. I wanted to take maternity photos in advance, but the child doesn't have a father, so Xinan accompanied me. It was during the days you were in the hospital. Just then, Meng Xinan returned and, hearing this, awkwardly explained, I only agreed to be the child's godfather. Once the baby is born, you'll be the godmother. You've always liked kids, haven't you? Would you like to help take care of the baby too? I couldn't help but think of my own child. For 9.5 months, we breathed together inside me, until Meng Xinan cruelly smashed him to death with a hammer. His eyes were filled with murderous intent, showing no trace of paternal love, yet it was all too evident at this moment. A dull pain in my heart. I suppressed my emotions and nodded, okay. Meng Xinan's tense nerves finally relaxed, but he couldn't help glancing at me twice. Reassured only when he saw nothing was amiss, until, Xia Shulan suddenly picked up a pocket watch and said, Sis Cece, I found this beautiful and had someone remake it into a baby frame. What do you think? My gaze followed what Xia Shulan was holding, and my breath caught suddenly. That pocket watch was my father's keepsake. It has always been safely stored in my safe, except for Meng Xinan. No one else has the code, so it's impossible to retrieve the pocket watch. Let alone modify it with my father's remains, it wouldn't have turned into that pink, toy-like thing in Xia Shuanai's hands. Meng Xinan, you clearly know how much the pocket watch means to me. It feels like someone has ripped a piece out of my chest, and the air seems to have frozen. I pointed at the pocket watch and looked at Meng Xinan. Did you give her my father's keepsake? Meng Xinan felt humiliated by me and frowned in displeasure. It's just a worthless thing, I gave it to her. Who are you giving that look to? Besides, Meng Xinan coldly looked at me. When someone dies, it's like a lamp going out. Of course, the living are more important. I thought you had matured, but it seems you're still the same as before, always jealous and petty. There is no greater sorrow than the death of the heart. Seeing Meng Xinan's bossy and unyielding attitude, I realized that no matter what I said, I couldn't change the inevitable outcome. Even if he understood what that pocket watch meant to me, so be it. There's no need for me to continue playing the villain. I nodded silently, looking at the pocket watch, and nodded again. You're right, since Xia Shulan likes it, just give it to her. Chapter 5. Then, under Meng Xinan's astonished expression, I retrieved my documents from the drawer, glanced back at Meng Xinan, and left without looking back. Meng Xinan watched my retreating figure, a surge of impatience rising in his heart. Just as he was about to call out to me, he was interrupted by Xia Shumeng clutching her stomach and crying out in pain. Xinan, did I upset Sister Shi? With a heart full of concern, Meng Xinan picked up Xia Shumeng and left. As he passed by me, he tossed out a line. Xia Yushi, even if you're being playful, there's a limit. He looked hurried, just like back in the year we first got together, when I had a stomach cramp so bad I couldn't stand up straight. He carried me to the hospital then, staying by my side every step of the way, but, alas, those days are gone forever. I organized my documents, drafted the divorce agreement, and received a call from the company. Secretary Xiaochen told me, Sister Shi, Secretary Xia threw all your stuff from your desk and said you won't be coming to the office anymore. What's going on? We're all on your side. We've already expressed our stance to Mr. Meng. If you really resign, we'll all follow you. I co-founded the company with Meng Xinan. He has always been the public face of the boss, while I remained his behind-the-scenes assistant. No one knows we were secretly married, let alone that I've already decided to divorce him. But hearing Xiao Chen and my colleagues stand up for me still warmed my heart. I told Xiao Chen, I'm not planning to stay, but you don't need to act impulsively. I have my reasons, and you don't need to consider me. The company offers good benefits. There's no need for you to lose your job because of me. Just as I finished speaking, the door swung open, and Meng Xinan, with a dark expression, interrogated me. You're not planning to work anymore? I looked at Meng Xinan, hung up the phone, and had no intention of responding. Xia Yushi, how long are you going to keep this up? Meng Xinan grabbed my wrist, forcing me to answer. Xiao Qiao is pregnant and in the late stages of cancer. The doctor said she needs more sunlight, and your office gets the best sunlight, so I let her stay there during the day. She's not bothering you. Meng Xinan spoke with righteous indignation. I glanced at Xia Shukong, who was hiding behind him and raising an eyebrow at me, and suddenly found it quite amusing. The company is so big, why do you have to sunbathe here? I took out the divorce agreement and placed it on the table. Sign it, Meng Xinan. As he looked at the documents on the table, Meng Xinan's already irritated mood reached its peak. Are you threatening me with a divorce? Xia Yushi, who gave you the guts to blackmail me with this? Meng Xinan's eyes blazed with fury as he snatched the pen from my hand, signed his name on the line, and then threw the agreement and the pen at my face. Since you want a divorce, fine, get out of here now. Meng Xinan was certain I would cave, and his methods of forcing me to submit were both crude and vicious. I merely glanced at him, picked up the agreement, walked out of the villa, and stepped into the courtyard drenched by the storm, still hearing Xia Shuqia's voice. Xinan, it's pouring outside, go and coax Cece back. Don't bother with her. Meng Xinan's cold, hard voice rang out. It's best if she dies out there. Meng Xinan thought I was just throwing a tantrum, but he didn't know. My ride has arrived outside the community gate. Chapter 6. Meng Xinan watched as the rain grew heavier and lightning cracked, his anxiety deepening. He kept checking the time. 10 hours had already passed, and I still hadn't come to seek reconciliation with him. Frustrated, he called his friends over for a gathering, but they couldn't help but speak up for me. Xinan, aren't you being a bit too harsh? Yushi was already an orphan. Making her go out alone without anything is essentially cutting off her path and forcing her to her death. Meng Xinan recalled the expression on my face when I left, and a sudden pang of pain struck his heart. Before he could speak, Xia Shulan, sitting beside him, had already spoken up. But what did Sinan do wrong? It's she who's being too willful. You can't expect Sinan to always coddle her. I used to think Xia Shumeng was fair and well-behaved. But now this statement just sounds uncomfortable for some reason. A close friend of mine chimed in directly. Who do you think you are to talk about Yushi? To put it bluntly, Meng Sinan's current social status is entirely thanks to Yushi building it for him. During their toughest times, if I remember correctly, you were living it up with another man, weren't you? And, my friend continued, pulling out the documents I had sent her earlier and slapping them onto Meng Sinan. You've been keeping this kind of trash around, didn't Yushi tell you that her story about coming back to you because her man died, being pregnant, and having cancer was all a scam? How could you, as her husband, let Yushi have an abortion in the hospital? That day when Xia Shulan returned, when she came to him with her prenatal checkup report and terminal cancer diagnosis, crying and begging for shelter. I didn't just question it, I also demanded that Xia Shulan go to the hospital that Meng Sinan and I co-founded to get retested, but Xia Shulan reacted strongly, crying that I couldn't tolerate her and that I might as well let her die. Back then, Meng Sinan only thought I was vicious, who would use pregnancy and cancer as a cover to deceive others. Now, as he looked at all the diagnoses on the medical report and the video left by his friend, it was clear that Xia Shuqiao was not pregnant. And even during their ambiguous phase, she was flirting with other men. His gaze sharpened, and the look he gave Xia Shuqiao was almost predatory. Xia Shuqiao's eyes reddened, and tears began to fall. It's not true, Sinan, Xia Shumeng cried. I don't know where these came from, but I really didn't lie to you. How could I possibly lie to you about being pregnant? Sinan, don't you believe me? Xia Shumeng turned to my friend, crying and accusing. What exactly did Xia Yushi give you to make you speak for her and frame me like this? The friend simply observed Xia Shulan's green tea behavior with a lukewarm remark. Is it true? Just go to the hospital for a checkup and you'll know. Exactly. Meng Sinan's gaze fixed on Xia Shulan's abdomen. Just go to the hospital, and the truth will be revealed. Xia Shulan shivered under Meng Sinan's gaze. That look, she had never seen before. As if he truly would take her life for lying, sobbing. She knelt at Meng Sinan's feet, clutching his leg and cried, I don't want to go to the hospital, Sinan, I'm afraid of hospitals, I don't want to go. Back then, whenever Xia Shuqiao cried, Meng Sinan would have fetched the stars from the sky for her. Xia Shukong was the white moonlight he loved in his youth but could never have. When the white moonlight suddenly turned back, living in extreme hardship, he couldn't help but feel pity and took her in. Now, Meng Sinan watched Xia Shukong's tears and felt nothing but annoyance. He coldly pushed away her hand and dialed his secretary's number. Arrange a full-body checkup for Miss Xia. Chapter 7. Meng Sinan hoped more than anyone that Xia Shulan was truly ill and genuinely pregnant, nurturing a child with her life. Otherwise, he couldn't imagine how I had survived those days. He remembered the day I was kidnapped and smiled at him. Recalled how I coldly responded to every word he said while hospitalized, and thought of the day when Xia Shulan took my father's pocket watch as a toy to show off, my disappointment and breakdown, and the day I left with the divorce papers, resolute. It won't happen. Meng Sinan scratched his hair irritably. It won't happen. He sat in the hospital corridor with his friend, waiting for the final result. The doctor was on his side and dared not hide anything. Handing over the results as soon as they were available. Mr. Meng, Miss Xia is in good health, but she has had too many abortions and is now infertile. His friend couldn't help but mock. Meng Sinan, you hurt Xia Yushi, the one who loved you the most, all for such a green tea. You really are penny-wise and pound-foolish. You deserve it. A light, flimsy checklist. It felt as heavy as 1,000 pounds. Meng Sinan stared at the diagnosis on it, numb, and asked the doctor. Could it be wrong? The doctor answered seriously, impossible. We conducted dozens of tests, all with the same result. There's no way we could have made a mistake. Oh, come on, Meng Sinan, the friend said, pulling up the test sheet. You're the one who mistook wood for pearls. Haha, now you're getting what you deserve. Besides, you're not worthy of Xia Yushi, but you and Xia Shuqiao would make a perfect match. Meng Sinan's heart sank completely. He rushed to the ward, saw Xia Shuqiao sitting on the hospital bed, and grabbed her by the collar to question her. Who gave you the nerve to play me like this? Do you even realize that you've made Xia Yushi unwilling to come back? Xia Shulan was startled, looking at Meng Sinan's expression. Her eyes reddened. Sinan, didn't you say that no matter what I become, as long as I turn back, you'll be there? It turns out you love me more. No matter what I asked Xiaoyushi for, you unconditionally demanded she give it to me, her home, her room, her man, and everything she had. Xia Shuzhuang took out the pocket watch, even her father's keepsake, which you gave to me just to make me happy. Isn't that enough to prove you love me? Watching the yellowed pocket watch transform into a cute, pink toy, Meng Xinan felt a dull pain in his chest. Recalling the desperate and numb expression on my face at the time, it felt as if his heart was being squeezed by a giant hand. Even breathing hurt, and he yanked the pocket watch over. How dare you take Cece's things, you filthy wretch. Meng Xinan held the pocket watch like a precious treasure, desperately trying to wipe off the pink color, but it wouldn't budge. He rubbed at it frantically, until his hands bled, yet he felt no pain. Xia Shuchao, however, stood by, mocking Meng Xinan. Who are you pretending to be so affectionate for now? Didn't you personally drive Xiaoyushi away yourself back then? Now you're putting on some melodramatic act. Xia Shuchao sneered as she watched Meng Xinan. In the end, you and Xiaoyushi have ended up like this because of your own doing. Meng Xinan froze, his expression turning terrifying as he looked at Xia Shuchao. Chapter 8. It was my third year in the lab, and I was experimenting with the syringes I had brought with me. The syringes injected into my body had undergone a qualitative change, and the memories altered by the code had truly been completely transformed. For this reason, the entire experimental team celebrated with great excitement. Our comprehensive Alzheimer's experiment for the aging population has been fully approved, patented, and successfully rolled out to every corner of the world. The elderly suffering from memory decline no longer have to worry about becoming a burden. Memory can be reversed. From now on, there will be no history of Alzheimer's disease. As the core member of the team, my teacher presented me with an invitation letter. The University of Jing City wants our team to send someone to give a lecture. After discussion, we all agree that you are the most suitable candidate. We wanted to ask for your opinion. It has been 3 years since I left the capital. I have never recalled the painful memories of my past life. Time has healed the wounds Meng Xinan inflicted on me. And by chance, it has also allowed me to achieve myself through the pain. I smiled and nodded in agreement. Then, I boarded the return flight. It had been 3 years since I last came back, but the city hadn't changed much. When I checked into the hotel my teacher had booked for me and arrived at the lecture hall of Jingshi University with my assistant, it was already packed. Seeing these eager students, I was overwhelmed with emotions. Once, my father worked day and night in the lab to cure my mother's Alzheimer's, but an accident still took her away from us. Later, in his grief, my father left behind his data and took his own life, leaving only a pocket watch and a pile of cryptic writings. Now, I have also inherited my father's mantle and fulfilled his last wish. As I prepared a series of speeches and followed my assistant to the stage, my name was suddenly called. Xiaoyushi. I paused, turned my head, and saw Meng Xinan in the entrepreneur's seat. He looked at me in disbelief, now radiant and polished, a flicker of pain crossing his eyes, and then he walked over from his position as an entrepreneur. Cece, it really is you. Meng Xinan grabbed my wrist. I've been looking for you for 3 whole years. You disappeared without a trace. Do you know how much it hurt me? How could you just leave without a word? Cece. Meng Xinan's eyes were red, his gaze on me bordering on obsession. I'm taking you home right now. My wrist, being pulled, hurt, and my brow furrowed slightly. Sir, please let go. My cold response stung Meng Xinan, and he looked at me in disbelief. What did you call me? Cece. I already know I was wrong. I found out it was all Xia Shulan's doing. As if to claim credit, or perhaps to atone, Meng Xinan eagerly told me. I've dealt with Xia Shulan. She won't stand between us anymore. Cece, please forgive me. In the lab, my teachers felt sorry for me when they first learned about my divorce, but one time, during a gathering where we drank together, I got drunk and poured out my heart, explaining everything. All the senior lab members, including my own assistant whom I had promoted, were utterly disgusted with Meng Xinan. Seeing Meng Xinan's attitude toward me, my assistant also realized what was going on, pushed him away forcefully, and looked at him coldly. Mr. Meng, if you continue to interfere with Professor Xie's preparation for the speech, I will call the police on you. The assistant is the teacher's only son. Although he was born with a silver spoon, he is willing to call me teacher for the sake of learning, and I genuinely like this junior. I smiled and shook my head, wanting to tell him it's okay. Meng Xinan, however, seemed to have a screw loose and pointed at the assistant to question him. Who is he? Chapter 9, Sayushi. Give me an explanation. You left home for 3 years just for this man. Oh, so, Meng Xinan suddenly sneered. I thought I had broken your heart and you left in anger, but you had already found someone else, hadn't you? I don't understand. How dare the person who drove me out of my home, allowed Xia Shuchang to take over my house and my father's pocket watch, have the audacity to publicly blame me? Seeing the crowd growing, my assistant's face darkened. And they were about to get into a fight with Meng Xinan. Instead, I slapped Meng Xinan across the face. Slap. I looked at Meng Xinan. If you're sick, go to the hospital. Not here to cause a scene. Then, I raised my hand and slapped him again. 3 years ago, we were already divorced. Mr. Meng, I reminded him. There's nothing between us. Meng Xinan covered his face, looking at me with deep regret. Also, I smiled and reminded him. 3 years ago. It was Xia Shulan's deliberate show of wealth that provoked the criminal's jealousy, leading to that kidnapping case. I don't believe you didn't know the truth. Meng Xinan recalled the kidnapping and lowered his head guiltily. I continued to close in, but you still chose the fake pregnant by Yue Guang, content to watch me face mortal danger, while I sneered, jumped off a cliff to survive, and the internet doesn't forget. Do you want me to dig it up and show you? Meng Xinan took a sudden half-step back. That kidnapping case even made it to the trending searches back then. The kidnappers used the slogan "Rob the rich to help the poor," and their live stream had tens of millions of viewers. Now, I bring it up. Many people recall the incident and suddenly realize the truth. It said that the kidnappers targeted the wife of the Meng Corporation's CEO and his white moonlight. CEO Meng chose to save his white moonlight, while his wife jumped off a cliff to escape. If the police hadn't arrived in time, she would have likely died. Oh my god, so that thing from back then was actually true. I thought it was just a script. So that Meng family is actually Meng Xinan's Meng family. Does he not have a clue how terrible he is? How dare he criticize Teacher Xia here? If it weren't for Teacher Xia, how many people would still be struggling with the mystery of Alzheimer's? Thankfully, Teacher Xia survived. Otherwise, Meng Xinan would have been responsible for killing a national pillar. Meng Xinan was humiliated and scolded to the point of turning red. He glared at me with a livid face. Even if that's the case, who hasn't made mistakes when they were young? Sayushi, do you really need to keep bringing up old grievances? It's come to this. Meng Xinan still didn't feel he had done anything wrong. Even if he had, it was a minor offense, easily forgivable and not worth mentioning. I smiled at Meng Xinan, unsparing. Old grievances. You kicked me out of the house for Xia Shulan, let Xia Shulan use the heirlooms my father left me as toys, and even redecorated my room in the style she liked. And yet, when Xia Shulan wasn't looking, you chose me. After being with me, you still lusted after Xia Shulan. Do you call that digging up old dirt? Meng Xinan, you are a complete and utter selfish jerk. Then, I turned to the school leaders of Jing City. If the entrepreneurs your school invites for exchange have such indiscreet private lives, I can't guarantee that the achievements we've worked so hard for over the past 3 years won't be wasted. Seeing that I no longer wanted to discuss the lecture, not just the school leaders, even other entrepreneurs have come out to express their support. We don't welcome you in our city. 10 Mengs are not worth one Teacher Xia. Chapter 10. I always wondered how Meng's rise was so rapid back then, how they managed to establish themselves in the capital, and why they've been declining so sharply in recent years. It turns out it's because Mr. Xia was driven away by certain people, and now those same people have the audacity to blame Mr. Xia. That year when I first got together with Meng Xinan. Meng Xinan had nothing but passion. It was I who, leveraging the connections my father left me, took the first step in Jingshi. Then, with my solid technical skills, secured funding, and later, accompanied Meng Xinan through the IPO. I poured almost all my glory into Meng Xinan. I don't expect Meng Xinan to be grateful. I only hope he loves me as he did at the beginning, when I needed family the most. During those most painful days, it was Meng Xinan who walked with me. On the day my father died by suicide, it was Meng Xinan who held me, broken, and repeated comforting words to me. Sayushi, your father has gone to a better place, while he reunites with your mother. They sent me to love you. Meng Xinan swore in front of my father's remains. If I, Meng Xinan, ever betray Sayushi, may I die a horrible death. Sayushi, I don't ask for us to be born together, but I want to be like uncle. If one day you're no longer here, I definitely won't live alone. In parents, I have seen too much purity in love, to the point where my longing for love and home surpasses everything. Without hesitation, I chose to pave the way for Meng Xinan, personally sending him to the heights, watching him stand on the peak, and willing to always be the strength that supports him. If it weren't for Xia Shumiao, I never imagined our relationship was so fragile. Meng Xinan rejected countless women, but he couldn't bring himself to reject the white moonlight of his youth. I've suffered, cried, argued, even threatened divorce, and used Meng Xinan's promises to manipulate him, but he wouldn't listen to a word. He just saw my breakdown as madness, treating me like a hysterical lunatic. Even when he saw my severe mental illness diagnosis, he casually tossed out a comment, "Xia Yushi, the way you use such despicable tactics to keep me is truly disgusting. Now, it's just a return to where each belongs. What doesn't belong to Meng Xinan will never belong to him." As I watched Meng Xinan being escorted out by security, shouting my name, I felt an overwhelming calm. With no more waves in my heart, I quickly moved past that episode, delivered my speech smoothly, and was then invited to give talks at various institutions. In the meantime, I took the opportunity to visit my parents' graves. Seeing my father's face still wearing a smile, I smiled and placed the flowers down. "Dad, I don't know if you'd understand, but many times I feel like the chance to start over was something you and Mom fought for me to have. I won't be foolish anymore. Life is short, and I just want to live for myself." I placed the flowers down. As I left the cemetery, the sky had already darkened. The assistant waited outside the garden, kindly holding an umbrella for me, shielding most of my body. With the sound of rain pattering in my ears, "Teacher Xia, our teacher called and asked us to return next week." Chapter 11. I nodded and said okay. Before getting into the car, the door suddenly got pulled back. I turned around for a moment and saw a woman with an indiscernible face, dressed in rags. Her eyes were particularly familiar, and she grabbed my car door with a cold smile. "It really is you, Xia Yushi. How dare you come back, Xia Shuchang?" I quickly realized that Xia Shuchang had already pulled out a prepared dagger from her robe and was viciously stabbing at me. However, before she could even touch me, my assistant kicked her away, causing her to fall into the mud. "Thank you, Teacher Xia," my assistant asked me with concern. "Are you alright?" I shook my head, looking at Xia Shuzhen. It had been 3 years since we last met, and I never imagined we'd meet under such circumstances. She had been disfigured, and it was clear she wasn't doing well. As if she had noticed my scrutiny, Xia Shuzhen snapped coldly, "Xia Yushi, it's all your fault. If it weren't for you, Meng Xinan wouldn't have driven me to the brink of destruction. He wouldn't have turned me into a plaything for so many people, just to get me pregnant and then personally abort the child to make up for the harm he caused you. And he certainly wouldn't have slashed my face with a knife when I had a miscarriage. It's you. You've condemned me to a half-life of misery and shame. I want to kill you." I looked at the deranged Xia Shumiao without a shred of pity. I never thought she deserved sympathy. All her outcomes were well-deserved, even if she's now disfigured and reduced to a beggar. In my opinion, you deserve it. I didn't expect Xia Shumeng to blame me entirely for everything. "Xia Shumeng," I sneered, speaking in the most irritating tone, "you had it coming." I looked at Xia Shumeng's twisted face and laughed even louder as I saw someone hurrying towards her from behind. "You deserve it. All your consequences are self-inflicted. Even if you die here today, I wouldn't spare you a second glance." Listen to my mockery. Xia Shuchang completely lost it, picked up the dagger from the ground, and shouted, "Xia Yushi, I'm going to kill you." Then, she froze in her tracks, her eyes widening in disbelief. She turned her head stiffly for a moment and locked eyes with Meng Xinan's murderous actions. "Didn't I tell you to stay away from Xia Yushi, or else I won't let you off?" Meng Xinan stabbed his knife into Xia Shuqia's back, yanked it out forcefully, and stabbed again, splattering blood everywhere. Meng Xinan smiled cruelly. "It's you who made Cece disappointed in me. Only by eliminating you at the root can Cece forgive me. Xia Shuchang, go to hell." I watched as Meng Xinan committed his brutal act, saw Xia Shuchang collapse straight to the ground, splashing blood everywhere, and the rain pouring over her. She never closed her eyes even in death. When Meng Xinan looked at me holding the weapon, there was a complex expression in his eyes. He approached me. My assistant quickly stepped in front of me, but he suddenly stopped in his tracks, raising his hands to me. "Cece, I know you've also come back. In my past life, it was I who wronged you." Meng Xinan threw away the weapon, his eyes blurred with tears or rain. "I remember everything now, how I hurt you, how you begged me to spare the child. It was all my fault, Cece. I dare not ask for your forgiveness, I only beg you not to hate me, don't hate me, Cece. Later, Meng Xinan was arrested for intentional homicide. On the day of execution, Meng Xinan wrote me a letter. When it was handed to me, I was focused on an experiment, and my assistant asked me, "Isn't Teacher Xie going to take a look?" I looked at the unopened letter and threw it into the fire without hesitation. It's just filth, why dirty my eyes with it? Story 2, The Night We Divorced. Jiang Xian abandoned his fortune of tens of billions and chose to commit suicide. Before his death, I hated his disabled leg and resented him for forcing me into marriage, until I accidentally found his diary while tidying up his belongings. It recorded his deep, long-term infatuation with me over the past 10 years. I didn't realize how deeply he loved me. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the day I signed the divorce agreement. This time, I held his trembling hand. Jiang Xian. Let's start over. 1 week after the divorce, I saw the news on the hot search that Jiang Xian had committed suicide. The media spoke of this financial genius with a tone of regret. He's a billionaire, they say, and a young prodigy. No one knows the reason for Jiang Xian's suicide. I'm currently on a tropical island vacation, celebrating the end of this marriage. The old butler arrived in a hurry. His hair was already white. He said Jiang Xian had made his arrangements clear, and all his assets were left to me. That's wealth that would take me 100 lifetimes to spend. I was at a loss. In my eyes, my marriage to Jiang Xian was nothing more than a business alliance. He had a long-cherished unrequited love, and I bore the heavy pressure of the company's financial chain. After marriage, our relationship was cold, and Jiang Xian bought me a mansion worth a huge price in the city center. But he himself never lived in this so-called marital home. I always thought he hated me, and I hoped to end this marriage. However, after signing the documents, the old housekeeper hesitated for a long time and said he wanted to take me somewhere. Master really likes you. The past year of marriage has been the happiest time in his life. You also know he has a disability, and he has always been self-conscious, thinking he's not worthy of you. Some things he was too afraid to say, but I think the lady should know, too. That house is near my high school. When I opened the door, there was a large portrait of me hanging on the wall. It is an oil painting of me in a wedding dress. Me and Jiang Xian never had a wedding, and I have never worn a wedding dress, but the me on the canvas is smiling very happily, and every light reflection in the folds of the wedding dress is carefully painted. Every stroke of the brush is a sincere infatuation with me. The signature at the bottom is Jiang Xian's name. There is also a line of small text written behind. Shui is always happy. In this house of 100 square meters, every corner has my traces. There is a photo of me playing the piano at the high school anniversary event, a notebook with my name written on it, the ugly doll I made in art class. There's even a group photo. I gave a speech at the graduation ceremony as an outstanding student. The younger version of Jiang Xian was in the audience. He was holding his phone, taking a photo with me through the crowd. In the photo, the handsome young man was smiling shyly with his lips pressed together. Later, when I became an actor, every role I played and every product I endorsed could be found in this room. Every detail of the decoration in this room seemed to say that Jiang Xian loved me deeply, but before the arranged marriage, I had clearly heard him say, "The wedding doesn't need to be held. Don't let anyone know about my relationship with Chu Shui." At that time, his tone was fast and urgent, full of disdain, as if marrying me was a forced task. On the day of registering their marriage, Jiang Xian stared at the marriage certificate for a while. His first words, "The money has been transferred." The origin of this marriage was that my family needed financial support. I was in a disadvantaged position in this relationship and had already prepared myself for being treated badly, but I was still humiliated by this sentence. I smiled, keeping my tone restrained and distant. "Mr. Jiang is really generous. Nice to do business with you." The memory ended. I put down the oil painting in my hands. As I stood up, I suddenly felt dizzy. My vision went dark, and I fainted. 3. When I opened my eyes again, I had reincarnated. I could hear the loud music from the bar. I hadn't fully grasped what was happening when I was suddenly embraced by someone beside me. Today is the perfect day for Shui and Jiang Jia's crippled man to get divorced. Everyone, raise your glasses and drink heartily. Divorce party. No drinking, no fun. Divorce party. I felt a chill all over, and suddenly remembered the situation now. Last time, I sent the divorce agreement to Jiang Xian, and then had a party with the encouragement of friends in the circle. After getting drunk, I met Jiang Xian, who rarely came over. In the living room, he was holding the signed divorce agreement. I thought he was also eager to get it over with. And I smiled and said happy divorce to him. I completely ignored Jiang Xian's soulless state. Then came the news of his death. No, I shot up to my feet. I rushed out while everyone was shocked. Someone tried to grab me. Shui, where are you going? Zhou Huai is about to arrive. Right, I specifically set this up for you too, hoping to matchmake you. Zhou Huai was my childhood friend. In the eyes of our friends, we were a broken golden couple. I didn't even look back. I'm not divorced from Jiang Xian. We are not planning to get a divorce. Also, don't call him lame guy. I don't like that. 4. The banquet hall was bustling with people, clinking glasses, and chatting. The call to Jiang Xian never got through. I was so worried I started sweating on my forehead. Coincidentally, I heard some people talking behind the screen. This deal was taken by Jiang's lame guy again. He doesn't have a wife or kids. Why is he working so hard? I heard he's married, but no one knows who his wife is. She probably doesn't even look at him. Jiang Xian had a serious car accident when he was young, and he had his left lower leg amputated. It made me clench my teeth in anger. Jiang Ziyuan is tough in business. And these people can't compete with him, so they can only gather behind his back and vent their frustration. I took a few steps forward, about to rush in and argue. Then I saw Jiang Ziyuan in the distance. He stood out in the crowd. He was wearing a well-tailored suit, with his raven black hair combed back, revealing a full forehead. His features were sharp and handsome, tall and elegant. He looked like a model in a luxury magazine. Jiang Ziyuan had a serious car accident when he was young and had his lower left leg amputated. He wore a prosthetic leg, looking dashing and flawless. Jiang Ziyuan is almost perfect in every way. Therefore, these defeated rivals of his are particularly keen on attacking his missing leg. A bunch of good-for-nothings. Seeing the living Jiang Ziyuan, my eyes welled up with tears. Jiang Ziyuan. I couldn't help shouting loudly. All eyes turned to me. Murmurs spread. Isn't that Chu Shui? That actress. Wow, even the disabled man has a celebrity mistress. The more incapable men are, the more women they want to keep as mistresses, proving they are capable. Yet, at the moment our eyes met, his eyes showed no trace of surprise, but instead, he turned his body slightly. It seemed he didn't want to see me at all. 5. I quickened my pace and walked to Jiang Xian's side. I naturally took his arm. At the moment of physical contact, Jiang Xian stiffened. His voice was cold and hard when he spoke. If you want a divorce, have a lawyer come and talk to me. The two companies are deeply economically connected, and this kind of divorce case dragging on for years is very common. If it were before, hearing this, I would only think that Jiang Xian was mocking me with money. Now, I know, he just doesn't want a divorce. My heart ached, and I was about to explain. Mr. Jiang, why don't you introduce the lady by your side? It's the host of today's banquet. I know Jiang Xian was trying to secure an international big order tonight. These people around are all unscrupulous competitors. The couple seems to be very affectionate, so they value the stability of their partner's family. A man with a sense of family responsibility is a trustworthy partner. I smiled on my face and tightened my grip on Jiang Xian's hand. Introduce yourself in fluent French. I'm his wife. 6. At the banquet, I drank a lot of champagne. Not only did people keep toasting me, but they also asked about my relationship with Jiang Xian. I patiently introduced them. We've been married for a year, and our relationship is very good. Oh, you didn't know. Maybe you're not worthy enough to be informed. I showed off our affection in front of the few men who had been gossiping just now. Jiang Xian followed me obediently the whole time, his white jade-like face slightly flushed. His eyes occasionally fell on me, but when I looked back at him, he immediately avoided my gaze. When the banquet ended, I was too drunk to tell. I didn't dare to let him carry me. Considering Jiang Xian's leg injury, I just held on to him and wouldn't let go. Like a koala, there was no other way. The memories from the previous life were too tragic. I really feared that if I didn't watch him closely, Jiang Xian might do something foolish again. The Maybach smoothly drove into the garage. This villa was bought by Jiang Xian for me after marriage. Our relationship was tense, and he had never stayed here overnight. I lay on the sofa with a hazy mind, still holding on to Jiang Xian's hand. He crouched beside me, looking at me with a complex expression. Why are you being so kind to me all of a sudden? Aren't you the one who wanted to divorce me? I was too drunk to understand what he was saying. I just watched his mouth, moving up and down. Jiang Xian's lips were full and pink. He had just drunk water, and his lips still had a moist sheen. It made my throat dry, and I couldn't hold back anymore. I directly pulled his tie, quickly licked his lips, sweet, one more time. Before I could do it again, Jiang Xian panicked and covered my lips, his ears, cheeks, even his neck were red. Do you know what you're doing? I don't know. I just know I want a bit more sweetness. Seeing his resistance, I directly grabbed his neck. Jiang Xian didn't move, waiting for me to kiss him. Before I could get to his mouth, the phone screen lit up. It was a message from Zhou Huai. Isn't this a celebration of your divorce? Why did you leave first? I want to get the land in Dongjiang. Help me check the bid documents of the cripple. Maybe you two shouldn't get divorced, just for my sake. My phone is just by the sofa, the screen is locked, and all the messages are visible. Jiang Xian suddenly froze. In an instant, his eyes turned red, his whole body was trembling. Everything you did tonight was for him, right? Hold me, kiss me. Tell someone else that you're my wife. Is it all for him? Jiang Xian seemed to be breaking apart, his eyelashes trembled slightly, and his black eyes were filled with pain. But I was already drunk and didn't understand what he was saying. I just thought the way he looked with tears in his eyes was very beautiful. Seeing it but not being able to have it, I huffed and puffed twice. No matter what you're doing it for. Jiang Xian seemed to have made up his mind. As long as we don't get a divorce, you can have anything you want. 7. My ears had an automatic filtering system, and I only heard the words, you can have anything you want. I want to kiss. After saying that, I straightened my back and went to kiss. However, Jiang Xian dodged. You don't need to do this. I'll give you the information about the Dongjiang development case right now. Me, what do I need this for? Before I could ask, the annoying phone rang. It was a friend from the party tonight calling. Shui, Zhou Huai is here, and he brought you flowers. Hurry up. This big happy event of divorce must be celebrated all night long. Even though I hung up the phone as quickly as possible, Jiang Xian still heard every word clearly. His light in the eyes slowly faded out. I'll make you a sobriety soup, and after you drink it, Zhang Shu will send you off. I know you were drunk and mistook someone. The kiss tonight, I know my place, I won't misunderstand. I grabbed his hand. Are you willing to let me go, Jiang Xian? As long as we don't get a divorce, anything is possible. Me, in my previous life, I was blind, but Jiang Xian was also a fool who didn't know how to speak. I deleted that person's WeChat in front of him, actually. My relationship with these people is just average. They are all friends of Zhou Huai. Jiang Xian, the person I like is you. Before getting married, my mother showed me a photo of Jiang Xian, handsome. I immediately said yes, to make sure he wasn't just a photo trick. I even secretly drove to Zhang's building to stake it out, but there were so many misunderstandings after marriage. I thought Jiang Xian hated me, and my pride wouldn't let me back down. So I pretended I didn't care about him at all. The budding feelings were directly extinguished, but Jiang Xian didn't believe my true words. Enough, Shui, I've seen the chat records. He closed his eyes, and his jet black lashes fluttered slightly. Uncontrollable pain. I know you hate me, but you always lie to me, and I will feel sad. It's said that a man's tears are a woman's aphrodisiac. I feel like I have a lot of energy right now. Jiang Xian didn't want to talk to me anymore. So he grabbed the black gold cane beside him and used it to stand up. I watched, and just felt that broken cane was annoying me, so I grabbed Jiang Xian's shirt with one hand and kicked the cane with the other. I kicked it weakly. Not only did I not kick it away, but I also hit my toes. It hurts. My face twisted into a frown. You and this broken stick, teaming up to bully me. Are you going to kick me out? Is this how you treat your husband? Jiang Xian didn't move. I stared at him angrily. A long time. Where are you hurt? Let me apply some medicine for you. When I looked down, I couldn't even see a scratch, let alone a red mark. Me, I didn't care about anything else. I just reached out and hugged Jiang Xian's neck, up close. I felt even more that Jiang Xian's appearance was exactly to my liking. You smell so good. I acted like a hooligan, sniffing around in Jiang Xian's arms. I felt a certain part of me that was pressed against him start to become unusually hot. Then I accidentally fell asleep in his arms. 8. The next day, I woke up lying on the big bed in the master bedroom, wearing a silk robe. Jiang Xian was nowhere to be seen. There was a document and a USB drive on the bedside table. Opening the cover, it was none other than the bidding documents for the Dongjiang development project. My hand shook. Did Jiang Xian think that everything I did last night was for this development case? I held back my anger and called him. The call connected quickly. But his voice became cold again, as if the Jiang Xian who was obedient and affectionate last night had disappeared. You wanted something. I've left it by the bed. Do you think I'm going to give this to Zhou Huai? Go ahead, give it to someone else if you want. Okay, wait for me. After hanging up the phone, I felt a bit defeated. Jiang Xian doesn't believe me at all, but it's okay, anyway his heart is already mine. As long as I have him by my side, he will inevitably look at me with that moist gaze, longing, yet afraid of being hurt. I didn't know anything about the previous life, but it's still not too late to make up for everything now. I quickly got dressed and rushed downstairs. I drove directly to Jiang Xian's house. This mansion is located next to the most famous scenic area in the city. It may seem modest, but every detail exudes an unapproachable sense of wealth. The old butler was waiting at the door after being notified in advance. He was pacing back and forth anxiously. I looked at his still jet black hair and smiled widely. I'm taking Jiang Kaiyan with me. 9, I don't agree. 2 hours later, Jiang Kaiyan rushed back. What met him was almost packed luggage. I didn't even lift my head. Your opposition is invalid. Then he turned to the butler and said, this tie would look great on Jiang Kaiyan. I need to take it. Xiaobo took it and quickly put it into the suitcase. Just go now. What else is missing? Madam can call me. I'll have someone send it over. After saying that, he pushed his suitcase and walked out. His eagerness was written on his face. He wanted to immediately put Jiang Xian into my car. Jiang Xian looked at the bedroom that I had cleared out half of. His expression was a bit bewildered. Do you like this house? So you want me to move out? No, I want to take you with me. From now on, you have to live with me. I painted a beautiful future for Jiang Xian. Once you move in, every morning you open your eyes, you'll see me. I'll give you a good morning kiss, and have breakfast with you. We'll hold hands walking, go to work separately, and then come home together. I thought Jiang Xian was happy about the banquet, but he remained silent, looking down, and finally spoke. What do you want? What price must I pay for such a life? To exchange the Dongjiang project for divorce. I was stunned. A deep sense of sorrow arose in my heart. Jiang Xian, I just want you to stay alive. 10, not long before departure, I got up to look for Jiang Xian. As I passed by the corner of the corridor, I suddenly heard the butler's voice. He was talking on and on, giving instructions. Master, I think the lady seems to like you very much. You should be more enthusiastic too. Jiang Xian, she doesn't like me, she just needs me. She has someone she likes. And I used underhanded methods to keep her by my side. The butler remained silent for a moment. No matter what, not getting a divorce is a good thing, and living together is even better. There's always a chance. Jiang Xian chuckled self-deprecatingly. No one will ever love me. Before, I always did everything best, but I couldn't even get a word of praise from my parents. Besides, I'm now a disabled person. After living together, when she sees my leg, she might hate me even more. The butler's face flashed with a hint of pity, but the words he wanted to say were not yet spoken. Jiang Xian interrupted. Jiang Nian's birthday is coming up. Help me pick a gift for him. Don't consider the price. I'm leaving first. The back seat of the Bentley. I looked through the car window's reflection at Jiang Xian. I was thinking about the conversation I had just heard. Jiang Nian. I have heard of this name before. He is Jiang Xian's younger brother. Zhou Huai once mentioned it in a sarcastic tone. Jiang Xian is just a stepping stone, and in the end, everything of the Jiang family will definitely belong to his younger brother. The neon lights outside flickered across Jiang Xian's handsome eyebrows. He looked down at the document without any expression. It seemed like the scene I accidentally caught was just a trick of my mind. A child who doesn't know how to cry and whine will grow up and deceive himself into saying he wants nothing. I moved closer and leaned on Jiang Xian's shoulder, like comforting a puppy. I gently patted the back of his head. I guess Jiang Xian rarely has physical contact with people, and even a little closeness would make his whole body tense. I poked him in annoyance. Relax, I'm tired. This is the price. If you live with me, you have to be my human pillow. Jiang Xian didn't say anything, but he relaxed his muscles obediently. I found a comfortable spot and smelled the faint sandalwood scent on Jiang Xian's body. Sleepiness suddenly came over me. Half awake, I suddenly heard Jiang Xian whispering softly, "This is a reward." 11. The car stopped at the villa gate. I walked ahead of Jiang Xian, imagining the future. The closet can make some space. Put your clothes in the master bedroom. Jiang Xian listened quietly, his lips slightly curled upward. His half-lowered eyes concealed anticipation, clearly showing he was in a good mood. At that moment, a figure stepped out from the shadows by the door. "Why did you come back so late? I called you but you didn't answer." Zhou Huai wore a carefree smile on his face. When he spoke to me, his tone was familiar. showing a sense of closeness. He greeted Jiang Xian in a casual manner. I borrowed Shui for a few words. I hope you don't mind. Oh no. I turned my head to look at Jiang Xian. Sure enough. As soon as Zhou Huai appeared, Jiang Xian's eyes dimmed. He took a long step and passed me with his suitcase. He moved quickly, and I didn't even have time to explain. The person next to me, Zhou Huai, was still talking incessantly. Why did you come back with Jiang Xian? You said you hated being in the same room as him. I interrupted directly. I blocked you. Don't come looking for me anymore. Zhou Huai didn't take it seriously. Is the mistress angry with me again? Did the paparazzi catch me hanging out with some celebrity girl? I was just having fun with them. I waited for you all day today, except for the materials from the Dongjiang project. I won't accept any other compensations. I was distracted thinking about some past events. My father is a nouveau riche, and after he made his fortune, he transferred me to a private school. I'm thin, short, and plain-looking. I was targeted by some bad classmates and almost became a victim of bullying. It was Zhou Huai who saved me, so I have always considered him a good friend, except for Jiang Xian, who is seen as a business marriage with an unhappy relationship. There are no other males around me besides Zhou Huai. That might be the reason why he is so confident. I said coldly. It doesn't matter who you play with. I don't care that much about you. Don't be so conceited. Jiang Xian is my husband. How could I hurt his interests for you? Zhou Huai's smile froze. What are you talking about? You used to hate Jiang Xian and wanted to divorce him, right? The Dongjiang project is just a small project for him. How can you not help me with this? I looked at Zhou Huai's face. It just felt unfamiliar. Last time, when Jiang Xian died, he left all his money to me. After gaining a huge fortune, Zhou Huai actually proposed to me. My so-called friendship. Turns out it was just a mobile vault in others' eyes. Zhou Huai, I'm very grateful for the help you gave me when I was young. That's why I've always been trying hard to repay you, even arranging connections for you to get into the entertainment industry, but you always subtly interfere with my relationship with Jiang Xian. Let's not contact each other anymore. 12. When I entered, Jiang Xian was standing in the living room. His suitcase was by his legs, showing no sign of being opened. Me, why didn't you have someone take care of it? Jiang Xian glanced at me from the corner of his eye. I thought I would have to move out as is. Jiang Xian and I are just friends. No, not even that anymore. You don't need to explain to me. I won't interfere with your freedom. Tisk, you're clearly disappointed. Why don't you just admit it? I walked over and gently hugged Jiang Xian. No, I have a mouth. I need to explain. I need to speak. I don't like Zhou Huai. I like a heartbroken puppy, although he's pretending not to care now. Can I go pack my luggage now? Even after my strong request, Jiang Xian still refused to sleep in the master bedroom. It's okay, I have legs and I can walk. I slipped into his room directly. There was the sound of water running from the bathroom. I sat on the edge of the bed. My mind was full of what the butler told me in the afternoon. Zhang's and his wife's marriage is a business alliance. They have no feelings for each other at all. After the young master was born, they almost never lived together. Each having many partners around them, as the only heirs of the two families, they had very strict requirements for the young master. Sometimes, these requirements were too harsh for a child, but he was always excellent, until the car accident. General parents would feel sorry for their child, but Jiang and his wife decided to have another child. That day, I silently listened to Jiang Xian's growth story. I just found it absurd and ridiculous. Parents who had no feelings for each other suddenly had a great relationship when raising their second child, becoming a happy family of 3. Only, Jiang Xian was an unwanted outsider, so, only after I proposed divorce did he choose to leave the world in despair. There was nothing worth him staying for. It was because of this reason that even when I reached out to him this time, he still didn't dare to. He was afraid to believe that he could attain happiness. The sound of water stopped. Jiang Xian walked out wearing long sleeves and long pants. His wet hair hung over his forehead. Water droplets slid down his high nose bridge, all the way to his chin. Then they continued down his collar. I suddenly felt a bit thirsty. When I looked at him, Jiang Xian's expression was a bit panicked. Why are you here? Because spouses should sleep in the same room. I spoke confidently. You have to fulfill your duties. Jiang Xian remained silent for a moment. He asked with difficulty, look down. Lower your gaze. I lowered my gaze. I took in Jiang Xian's broad shoulders, narrow waist, and long legs, nodded. I am very satisfied. You see me like a normal person now. Because I am wearing a prosthesis. Jiang Xian looked embarrassed and painful. frowning, eyes were red. Shui, I don't know why you suddenly want to be nice to me, but when you see the wound, you will be scared. I hugged him with concern. No, I swear to you. I don't know why Jiang Xian has such a heavy psychological trauma. He is so excellent and shining, but he suffers from inferiority because of this small problem. I pushed him to the edge of the bed, then I turned over and sat on his legs. I don't mind it at all. Even if you are in a wheelchair, I won't be afraid. Because, I lowered my voice and leaned close to Jiang Xian's ear. I blew on his earlobe, and said, because I can move on my own. I hugged Jiang Xian, like a chick pecking rice. I slowly nibbled. He gradually became aroused. His whole body was unbearably hot. Wait, Jiang Xian seemed to have made a huge decision. He took off his prosthetic leg. In the empty pant leg, I could even see the amputated surface of his leg from the middle. His voice trembled. Did you see it? 13. In this moment, Jiang Xian closed his eyes, as if awaiting the judgment of a deity. Fear, expectation, the blue veins on his forearm, and the trembling eyelashes. If Shui feels disgusted, that's fine. After all, the worst outcome has already been imagined hundreds of times in his mind. Maybe like his younger brother, scared by his leg, screaming and saying he's a monster, or even vomiting immediately. Even if that's the case, it's okay. In the anxious waiting, Jiang Xian felt the dampness of the liquid on his skin. There was also a soft touch. He opened his eyes and saw the girl with a tear-streaked face in front of him. She gently placed a kiss on his leg. His eyes only showed compassion. Jiang Xian, are you in pain? His heart instantly felt at ease. The kiss on his leg seemed to trigger some switch. Jiang Xian suddenly changed his approach. He became extremely dominant. He bent down, and a passionate kiss landed on the corner of his eye, on his lips, rolling down all the way. I was so dazed from the kiss. Opening my eyes, I saw Jiang Xian quickly take off his shirt. Moonlight poured down, and I could see everything clearly, a slim and solid chest, and faintly visible six-pack abs. I couldn't help but reach out. The touch was as expected, smooth and warm. Don't. Jiang Xian's voice was a bit out of breath. Am I the kind of person who obeys without question? He immediately touched my waist twice. The next second, Jiang Xian caught my hand through the gaps between his fingers, and interlaced our fingers. He looked down at me with eyes full of burning, passionate emotions. Shui, Shui. He repeated my name over and over. His voice was gentle, but the intensity of his actions made me a bit unable to bear. Jiang Xian, let go. I need to go back to my room. I don't want to play anymore. How come you have so much energy? I really can't anymore. 14. The next day, I woke up with a swollen mouth from the kiss. Week all over. You're awake. Jiang Xian was sitting by the bed watching me. He leaned in to try to kiss me again. I quickly pulled the blanket over myself. If you try again, I'll get angry. A man who has tasted romance is really scary. I can't handle it at all. From that day on, Jiang Xian just wants to stick to me 24 hours a day, like a 1-meter, giant human-shaped accessory. Meet via video call. All documents are delivered to the villa by the assistant. I really can't take it anymore. I tried to persuade him to go to the company. Jiang Xian showed a disappointed expression, his eyelashes half lowered, looking pitiful. Don't you want to see me anytime? Me? I kept reminding myself that he was just pretending to be pitiful. Shall I accompany you to the company? As long as I get out of this home environment, then I won't accidentally be taken to bed again. In the elevator, I had my mask and hat on tightly. There were 2 young girls next to me chatting. The Mid-Autumn Festival gift definitely included Snow Intentions endorsed product. I said so. I said there must be someone in the office who is a fellow fan, secretly using their purchasing authority to support the business, but I asked, and the office said these things were added by the president's office. President's office? Is it a certain secretary's sister who also likes Shui? She has good taste. Listening to their conversation, I suddenly remembered something. My agent once mentioned to me that there was a mysterious figure in my fan circle. The entire fan club structure was built by this person. The main members of the team have professional level work capabilities. Everyone else has appeared in public, only this mysterious big fan, but they never attend any offline events or chat online. They only provide money and effort. A flicker of doubt flashed in my heart. Could this person be Jiang Xian? I was just about to call my agent to ask about the situation. Her phone call came in immediately. Shui, you were photographed. The first hot search, with my name on it. 15. Hashtag Chu Shui's secret marriage hashtag. When I clicked in, there were all sorts of messages against me. The exposed photos were cleverly framed, showing our silhouettes. The exposed photo has a very ingenious angle, capturing our backs. You can clearly see Jiang Xian's walking stick. There are some paid posters stirring up the comments. They say I married a 20-year-older disabled rich man for money, and that I'm a mistress who climbed up the ladder. Chu Shui is very calculating, and is well known for doing anything for fame. How disgusting. People like this can become famous. The entertainment industry is doomed. Ban her. Kick her out of the entertainment industry. Song Director's movie is clearly an award-winning work. The female lead role is coveted by many. And it's probably the companies behind the scenes colluding against you. The public opinion is currently against you. They are saying you are money-driven and not similar to the original character of the female lead. In Jiang Xian's top-floor office of hundreds of square meters, I was taking the food prepared by the chef out of the takeout bag, comforting the agent. Don't worry, if I were afraid of such trivial tactics, these years would have been in vain. I'll meet with Director Song this afternoon. The agent nodded slightly, asked hesitantly. But, these years I've only known that you're married. What's your husband like? You know, the fans have high standards for the spouses of female stars. If you're dating a man that fans can't stand, they'll definitely unfollow you. Let me know in advance so I can prepare the public relations strategy. I smiled, was about to open his mouth to show off. Upon looking up, he found that Jiang Xian had finished the company meeting early, rushed up. The phone screen was stuck on the Weibo interface. Obviously also saw these news. The whole person looked like a defeated and sullen little dog. I'm sorry, I disturbed your work. I'll find someone to take down this message right now. Wait, I held his hand. Why do you want to take it down? I just want to use this opportunity to announce our engagement. Before, I always thought Jiang Xian looked down on me. Later I found out, when facing me, he always put himself in a lower position. Even though he had already achieved the top level of success and wealth in the worldly sense, but in front of me, he was still insecure. I touched Jiang Xian's cheek. Don't worry, my fans will definitely like you, because they are just as perverted as me. 16. A few minutes later, facing the heated public opinion, I posted a Weibo, just 4 characters, straight from the original photo, with a picture attached. In the photo, Jiang Xian looks directly at the lens. No need for lighting or composition to create atmosphere, just a tough guy. The comment section suddenly flooded with a lot of comments. Is he the brother-in-law? Okay, the beauty didn't marry an ugly man. That's satisfying. Humph, it's photoshopped. Aren't you going to make the nose and jawline look more fake? I'm speechless. Being handsome and rich is nothing special. He's a disabled person, you know. Chu Shui is just a gold digger. She's definitely not suitable to be a positive public figure. I'm speechless. Being handsome and rich is nothing special. He's a disabled person, you know. Chu Shui is just a gold digger. She's definitely not suitable to be a positive public figure. You're an idiot, but I didn't insult you. Don't show off your pitiful intelligence. What? You said I have to sacrifice myself and marry a handsome guy for money. Where is this kind of good luck? I'll take a ticket first. This face is really amazing. I believe it's for love, because I've fallen in love at first sight. I was half laying in Jiang Xian's arms scrolling through comments. As soon as I saw something funny, I pointed it out to him. Look, my fans really like you. They all say you're handsome and that we look good together. Jiang Xian's lips curled up. It was obvious he was happy. He grabbed my hand that I was using to swipe the screen. Just now, those comments. Can you take a screenshot and send it to me? I want to give them a gift. There are too many people who praise you. You can't give gifts to all of them. I have plenty of money. I want to give gifts. Okay, but I have a condition. I changed my position. I sat on Jiang Xian's legs. I looked into his eyes seriously. I know you have liked me for a long time, but I have a very poor memory. Can you tell me about the past things again? In the previous life, in that house, I witnessed Jiang Xian's unwavering love for me until death, but I hadn't even had a chance to ask the butler when I was reborn. This time, I want to hear Jiang Xian tell me himself. 17. In the hospital room, the young Jiang Xian was lying still in the bed. His parents didn't know he had already woken up. They were still arguing fiercely, blaming each other for not taking care of the child properly. They finally left in anger. They left him in the care of the butler Zhao Bo. Later on, he found out from Zhao Bo that his parents were planning to have another child, because he was no longer satisfying them. That night, Jiang Xian went to the rooftop secretly. He didn't plan to do anything foolish. He just wanted to stare at the moon for a while. Actually, the moon isn't round enough tonight, on the 15th. Both the stars and the moon will appear, and that's when it will be beautiful. You won't be able to see it anymore if you're dead." He then realized there was a girl in the shadow, is also in a wheelchair. Seeing that he didn't answer, the girl continued, "You just arrived and don't know yet. The rehabilitation meals here are especially delicious, and the nurse sisters also bring flowers in the morning. It's really a pity that he's dead." Jiang Xian felt that the other person was a bit annoying. He wanted to tell her to shut up, but he couldn't bring himself to say it. The girl quietly stayed by his side, occasionally commenting on the night sky tonight. "Maybe, he is just like his mother said, a weak person who needs company. I had my leg amputated." Jiang Xian suddenly spoke and coldly observed the other person's reaction. If she showed those expressions of sympathy, he would tell her to leave. "Then you can use a prosthetic. Like Iron Man, it's cool." The girl, full of enthusiasm, leaned in and started talking to him. "Have you seen superhero movies? Who do you like the most?" "I started dancing when I was very young. I danced for 10 years, and I originally wanted to become a professional dancer, but now it's not possible anymore. The doctor said I can't do high-intensity exercises anymore. I'll tell you a secret. I originally came to the rooftop to do something foolish, but that day the wind was very strong, like someone was trying to stop me, and suddenly I didn't think not being able to dance was that bad. I can still sunbathe, sleep, and eat." The conversation came to a brief pause. Jiang Xian admitted he was comforted, but the education from childhood told him that people cannot admit their weaknesses and emotional needs. "Thank you," Jiang Xian spoke, with a cold and distant politeness. "How much money do you need?" "Oh," the girl's eyes widened. "Your comfort is better than my psychologist. I can probably pay you 5,000 yuan per hour." Jiang Xian looked over. He didn't finish his words, hoping the girl opposite him could understand his hint. He wanted her to talk with him a bit more. "You can add money." "Oh no, I think you hit your head in a car accident. Talking for a few minutes and you want money." The days of rehabilitation training were a rare time of relaxation in Jiang Xian's life. He didn't have to constantly tighten his nerves. Being the best child in the entire social circle, the physical pain was still within his tolerance range. Besides, Chu Shui would always come to see him every so often. She seemed to have imagined many things, always thinking that he would secretly commit suicide, so she would appear in front of him from time to time. "I brought you an orange. It's really, really delicious. It's so good to be alive. Come on, let's go out in the sun. It's warm and comfortable and it's free. Why do you always wear a mask? You look really good looking, you know." Because he wasn't able to accept his disability from the heart yet, every time I accidentally see the mirror, I am pulled into the moment of the car accident. He needs time to accept reality. He also wants to take up all of Chu Shui's time, but the other person is a little son. All the patients in the hospital like her. Chu Shui is always followed by a group of little followers, and he is not special at all, fortunately. Chu Shui also needs him sometimes, for example, scratching his head and trying to solve math problems. He offered to help, but was directly refused. "No need, kids who grew up abroad aren't good at math." Jiang Xian, to prove that she was Chinese, Jiang Xian explained the question to her 3 times. "You can always ask me in the future." He pretended to be calm, but he was so happy he almost laughed out loud. But there will be no future. That afternoon, his mother's plane arrived, and she quickly processed his discharge and forcibly took him back to the UK. He didn't even get a chance to have a proper farewell. From then on, he would never receive oranges from her again. No one would come to remind him that the night sky was beautiful and that looking at it would make one feel happy. He was sent to a top boarding school in the UK. Learn to go to the rooftop to look at the stars alone. I will take a 12-hour flight from London to see her when I miss her. Want to show off my prosthetic leg. But he saw Chu Shui holding hands with another boy. "I am Zhou Huai's girlfriend." Jiang Xian left in a daze. Therefore, he missed the following scene. After the girl who confessed left, Chu Shui quickly let go of Zhou Huai's hand. Her expression was annoyed. "Next time, don't ask me for this, every time you need me to cover for you. It's very time-consuming. Please, I've also blocked a lot of bad relationships for you. How dare you not look at me? I'm the school's top guy, the dream of all the girls in the school." Chu Shui sneered and turned up her nose. "You don't have that, but it doesn't mean others don't. What you don't have doesn't mean others don't." Chu Shui didn't want to explain anymore and just left. She was a bit restless all the way. She kept looking back. Chu Shui was too lazy to explain any further and just left. Along the way, she is some insecurity, frequently look back. "It seems I missed something important." But it's okay, the important person will overcome all difficulties. Reappear. 18. After officially announcing their relationship with Jeong Syeon, his mask fell off. At first, a fan posted a Weibo. Please fellow fans identify. Is this handsome guy I met at the offline event my brother-in-law, with a few blurry photos? The man in the picture was wearing a mask, although wrapped up tightly and standing in a corner. His aura is exceptional. I've met this guy too. I also took a photo. He didn't record a video with his phone, he just stared at Shui with two eyes like a searchlight. Great, he's a stalker. We're saved. Oh my god, is this the real thing? A love story where he falls in love with a female celebrity and marries her. So delicious. As more fans joined the discussion, Jeong Syeon's fan account was accidentally exposed. It's all full of silly compliments. The boss usually uses this handsome face. At the financial summit, he was expressionless while playing with his phone. When everyone thought he was discussing a deal worth billions, he was posting on Weibo. My wife is so beautiful. I love my wife for a lifetime. Such childish comments. Laughed to death. Leave a kuchizi for the brother-in-law. Checked my private messages. Found that I had talked to my brother-in-law before, and I had blocked him. The situation is like this. I am a big fan of Shui, and I often post some dream girl literature short essays. One day, I suddenly received a private message from my brother-in-law, and the chat record is as follows. Shui's only official husband. Hello. Please don't call Shui wife anymore. Blogger. Shui's only official husband. Because she is my wife, we have a marriage certificate. Blogger. Where did this elementary school student come from? Did you finish your summer homework? Your most important thing now is the junior high school entrance exam. Ha ha ha. I'm dying laughing. Let's count the day they got married. The brother-in-law got his hunger for the sister-in-law, trying to seek some attention, but ended up being scolded and blocked. This post was pushed to my homepage. At that time, Jeong Syeon came to pick me up after work. As soon as I saw him, I couldn't help but laugh out loud. So happy. Jeong Syeon is a bit jealous. Who made you so happy when I wasn't around? Only you. Only you can make me this happy. I say sweet words without money. I move close to him and kiss him. Jeong Syeon has no sense of security. He seems to always doubt that I like him, so I always tell him again and again, in an exaggerated way, that I love him. Such an immature method. Yet it always makes Jeong Syeon lose his way. Let's take another road. We'll go somewhere else today. Jeong Syeon, I'll drive. I didn't even have to navigate. I just parked the car at the community's entrance, a secret base I've been to before with the butler. It's all the items Jeong Syeon has collected that are related to me. I thought it was a surprise, but Jeong Syeon on the passenger seat looked a bit flustered, even apologized to me. How did you know about this place? Did you go in? Are you going to think I'm a pervert? I'm sorry, I won't do it again. Really, I threatened him in a serious manner. I think you'll just find another secret base, collect more of my things, and be even more careful not to let me find out. Jeong Syeon, he was exposed by me without mercy. I really like it. Maybe I'm also a bit twisted. I like your intense, headlong love for me. I am Jeong Syeon's first. Cheer for me. Be my loyal follower. This feeling of being strongly needed, desired, and cherished, it fascinates me. Jeong Syeon. Let's have a wedding ceremony again. That night, Jeong Syeon was especially excited. I wanted to be crushed and licked into pieces. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. Jeong Syeon, I still have some old photos, all from when I was a child. The media spoke of this financial genius with a tone of regret. Do you want it? Jeong Syeon's eyes lit up, his face full of longing. I want everything about you. I grabbed his face. If you want it, then, don't move anymore. Story 2. My childhood sweetheart lost his sight in a car accident. Out of pity, I donated one of my corneas. However, he believed that I had caused the car accident, and that I donated the cornea to blackmail him with my kindness and seek repayment, all just to break up him and his first love. He hated me for his entire life. Before he died, he said that he would rather be blind than see me again. When I opened my eyes again, I returned to the moment when he was about to speed his car to chase after his first love. I pretended not to know anything. In this life, I don't want to see him either. In the dead of night, my mother pulled me out of bed. As she put on her clothes, she said with a serious expression, "Hurry up." Aunt Sue called and said that Yachuan had a car accident. Let's go to the hospital right away and check on him. My heart was pounding like a drum. It wasn't until I arrived at the hospital and saw Yachuan's parents anxiously pacing back and forth in front of the operating room that I realized this wasn't a fleeting review before my suicide, I had really been reborn. My mother was busy asking about Yiyachuan's condition, and several adults were as flustered as children. Instead, I became the only one who could communicate calmly with the doctor. The family members should be mentally prepared. The patient's face suffered a violent impact, and both corneas have fallen off. I'm afraid he will lose his sight, the doctor said. Just like in my previous life, Aunt Sue almost fainted upon hearing this. I sighed silently, and there was really no emotional ripple in my heart. I just said, the corneas have fallen off, but the eyeballs can still be saved, right? After saying that he would do his best, the doctor stuffed the pen into my hand. Who are you to the patient? Hurry up and sign the paper, the word wife almost blurted out, but I held it back forcefully. Then I handed the pen to Uncle Yi, who was relatively calm. I'm the patient's neighbor and don't have the right to sign. In my previous life, when I learned that Yiyachuan was about to lose his sight, my reaction was similar to Aunt Sue's. After all, he was the person I had secretly loved for 10 years, thinking that Yiyachuan, such a free-spirited person, would no longer be able to see the world. I felt a pang of pity and donated one of my corneas. Yiyachuan was able to see the light again. After being depressed for a few days, he proposed to me in the hospital. At that time, he supported me and said, "Qing Yan, from now on, we will be each other's light." My 10-year secret love came to fruition at this moment, but I was a bit hesitant. What about Jiyu? I asked. Yiyachuan sneered and pointed at his eyes. If it weren't for her willfulness in breaking up with me in the middle of the night, how could I be like this? He answered firmly at that time, but less than 2 years after marriage, he changed his attitude. By chance, I saw that he asked an AI software more than once, how can I make someone's cornea fall off? Help me design a perfect car accident. Can a person who died of carbon monoxide poisoning still donate their corneas? When I saw these questions, I felt as if I had fallen into hell. I gave him one of my corneas out of consideration for our many years of relationship, but he still wanted to take my other one, so I closed the doors and windows and burned charcoal at home. It was the first time I drank alcohol with Yiyachuan after marriage. When we were both drunk, I asked him, "Do you regret marrying me?" He revealed his true feelings after drinking, and his eyes looking at me were as sharp as knives. "If I didn't marry you, how could I be worthy of the car accident you carefully designed?" He somehow found my diary and threw it hard on the table. "Zhou Qingyan, you've had a crush on me since you were a child and couldn't have me, so you deliberately designed this car accident to make me blind, didn't you? When I went blind, you took the opportunity to donate your cornea to blackmail me with your kindness and seek repayment. Just to marry me as a matter of course. You've ruined my health, my relationship with Jiyu, and you want me to feel guilty towards you for the rest of my life. You're really vicious. I'd rather be blind for the rest of my life than look at your face." Every word he said was enough to shock me. With red eyes, I tried to explain that it wasn't true, but he banged on the table and questioned, "Then why else would you be willing to become a disabled person yourself and still donate your cornea to me? Aren't you brainwashed by that nonsense about childhood sweethearts? We're just neighbors. There's no such complicated relationship between us." I was stunned. It turned out that Yiyachuan had always speculated about me with such malice. The carbon dioxide was getting thinner and thinner, and my mind was gradually becoming unclear. Both he and I died in that room, and the death wasn't too painful, too, this time. I watched coldly as the two families tried their best to find a cornea. And I didn't plan to get involved in any of Yiyachuan's affairs anymore. Aunt Sue kept wiping away her tears, and my mother also had a worried look on her face. Sigh, why on earth did Yiyachuan go out and drive fast in the middle of the night? What on earth was so important that he risked his life for it? Such a young and promising person. Just, upon hearing this, a trace of hatred flashed across Aunt Sue's face. I looked at Yiyachuan's phone and found out that he had secretly made a girlfriend behind our backs. Her name is Jiyu. That girl was throwing a tantrum and said that if Yiyachuan didn't reach the high-speed railway station within 10 minutes, she would leave the city, in a hurry. Yiyachuan. I lowered my eyes and didn't say anything. No matter how I heard it, this matter had nothing to do with me, but in his previous life, Yiyachuan managed to pin the blame on me. As soon as she finished speaking, there was a crackling sound coming from the ward. Aunt Sue and my mother didn't have time to react and quickly ran in. I followed in and took a look. Yiyachuan had knocked over the water cup on the table and fell off the hospital bed himself. He had torn off the gauze on his eyes and was now reaching out with red eyes, groping around randomly. "Yiyachuan," Aunt Sue said with a crying tone out of, "Get up quickly. The floor is cold, you child." You move around as soon as you wake up, your leg is cracked, so be careful not to touch it. Yi Yachuan tightly grasped Aunt Sue's hand as if he had grabbed a life-saving straw. Mom, what's wrong with my eyes? Why can't I see anything? Why? Aunt Sue loved her son so much that she opened her mouth several times but couldn't say anything. She covered her mouth and cried, and her shoulders trembled as she held back the sobs, not daring to make a sound. Yi Yachuan couldn't see where people were and could only look around, his eyes revealing a look of panic. In the end, my mother couldn't stand it anymore. She pulled me and helped Yi Yachuan up together. Qing Yan, it's you, Qing Yan, right? Tell me what's wrong with me quickly. I looked at Aunt Sue with a complicated expression. Only after getting her permission did I say, you had a car accident, which led to the corneas falling off, and you've lost your sight. Yi Yachuan was stunned for a moment and blurted out that it was impossible. I didn't say anything more, and Aunt Sue immediately came up to comfort him. Don't be afraid, your father and Uncle Zhou have already gone to find a cornea for you. We'll be able to regain our eyesight soon. Yi Yachuan, who had been free-spirited and assertive since childhood, couldn't bear this blow. Finally, the doctor came for a round of inspection and reminded, you must take extra care of your eyes now, otherwise. If the situation deteriorates further, even if there is a cornea available, it can't be transplanted. I smiled but didn't say anything. If a cornea could be easily obtained, in his previous life, Yi Yachuan wouldn't have set his sights on my other cornea, but wasn't this exactly what he wanted? In this life, at least he could never see me again. 3. Uncle Ye's attempts to find a cornea failed repeatedly, and his hair turned white within a few days. Yi Yachuan couldn't accept the fact that he had lost his sight, and a fear emanated from his whole body. Less than 3 days after being hospitalized, Aunt Sue was so exhausted that she was hospitalized due to high blood pressure. I deliberately avoided Yi Yachuan, but I was scolded by my parents. Qing Yan, our two families have always had a good relationship, you should at least lend a hand. I couldn't eat any longer, so I had to go. As soon as I entered the ward, Yi Yachuan heard the commotion and turned his head. It's Qing Yan, isn't it? I was surprised for a moment, and then I heard Yi Yachuan laugh self-deprecatingly. I know your footsteps, why haven't you come to the hospital to see me? Does my current appearance scare you? I sat not far from his hospital bed and said indifferently, I'd been too busy recently and didn't have time. My 10-year-long secret love had long since disappeared completely due to the hardships after marriage in my previous life. In this life, my infatuation has cleared up. Yi Yachuan was right, we were just neighbors. It was as if he was waiting for my comfort. When I didn't speak for a long time, he reached out his hand to grope for his phone again. After finally finding it, he stretched his hand towards the other side of the bed. He said to the air, help me check if Jiyu has called me. I can't even turn on my phone, since I haven't been able to contact her for so many days. Jiyu must be really worried. I sighed helplessly. I'm over here. Yi Yachuan was stunned for a moment, and a trace of frustration flashed across his face. I took the phone and fiddled with it. There were 0 missed calls. I opened WeChat and took a look. The chat record between the two of them was still from a few days ago. I glanced at Yi Yachuan, driven by curiosity. I still opened the chat box. I really wanted to know why in his previous life, Yi Yachuan had blamed me for his car accident. Yi Yachuan, my mom said that if you want to marry me, the betrothal gift must be a shopping mall. There's no room for negotiation on this matter. Your family is wealthy, even 2 shopping malls are nothing to you. Since you're so insincere, we might as well break up. Yi Yachuan took a very low stance. Can we discuss this matter again? I'll talk to my parents properly. Jiyu sent a high-speed rail ticket for half an hour later. Then come to me again when you've discussed it. Yi Yachuan begged Jiyu not to leave, and finally Jiyu relented, but said that she would only give him 10 minutes. After reading the chat record, I couldn't help but sneer. Their quarrel over the betrothal gift had nothing to do with me. In his previous life, just because I was kind-hearted and donated a cornea to him, he took all his anger out on me. So, any news? Yi Yachuan asked anxiously. I shook my head and put the phone on his lap. No, it's impossible. He groped for the phone and still wanted to hand it to me. Is my phone out of battery? Or maybe the phone was broken in the car accident and WeChat can't receive messages. Qing Yan, can you go and buy me a new phone? Looking at Yi Yachuan's anxious appearance, a trace of satisfaction rose in my heart. I deliberately said, as if taking revenge, Jiyu hasn't contacted you, not even once. From then on, Yi Yachuan asked me to check the unread messages on his phone every day. As the days passed, Yi Yachuan was clearly getting flustered. She hasn't contacted me for so many days, why still doesn't Jiyu contact me? Do you think something might have happened to her? I looked at him expressionlessly, but Yi Yachuan suddenly said, help me call Jiyu. The moment the phone was connected, Yi Yachuan's eyes lit up, and this was the first time he had smiled in several days. Jiyu. The person on the other end of the phone wasn't in a good mood. Why are you calling me? I said I would only wait for you for 10 minutes, and you didn't come. Doesn't this mean we've broken up by default? Don't bother me anymore in the future, Yi Yachuan kept explaining. I'm sorry, Jiyu. Don't hang up the phone. I didn't mean to be late, and I don't want to break up either. It's just that, I had a car accident and have been in the hospital. I got up and walked out, afraid that if he was rejected, he would also shift the blame to me. But seeing Yi Yachuan's attitude towards Jiyu, I finally understood that he really didn't love me. We grew up together since we were children, and I had never seen Yi Yachuan in such a humble state. After Aunt Sue came, I went to see the attending doctor. If the car accident was so serious, why were Yi Yachuan's other injuries only minor, while his eyes were the most severely injured? There was also a hint of helplessness on the doctor's face when we picked him up from the scene. His entire face was covered in blood. Later, we found that there was a raised ornament installed on the logo of the steering wheel of the patient's car. When the airbag popped out, it happened to poke into his eyes. What a pity. I raised my eyebrows and went home, understanding everything in my heart. In my previous life, I had devoted all my heart to Yi Yachuan. Only after looking back on my life before I died did I realize that I had played a good hand of cards very poorly, this time. I used 2/3 of my savings to buy gold. My mother looked at me suspiciously. Are you going to open a gold store? I smiled and shook my head. I'm keeping it for appreciation. When my father came back in the evening, he was in a bad mood and let out a long sigh during dinner. Out of the corner of his eye, he kept glancing at me from time to time. We can't find a cornea at all. That child Yachuan is probably... I looked up at my father and said, we should do our best and leave the rest to fate. You've already done your best. Even if we can't find a cornea, Uncle Yi won't blame you. My parents both looked at me and probed carefully. Your father is worried that you won't be able to accept it. We know that you and Yachuan have had a good relationship since you were children, and it became even closer when you grew up. If you insist, your mother and I won't object. After understanding the hidden meaning of their words, I put down my chopsticks seriously. Dad, Mom, I don't like Yi Yachuan anymore. It's not because he's blind, it's because he already has a girlfriend. He's not suitable for me. We're just ordinary friends and neighbors. Don't say such things again in the future. My parents were surprised for a moment and then quickly nodded. Yen, don't worry, whatever you choose, we will support you. 5. A week later, my father originally wanted to pick Yi Yachuan up from the hospital, but Aunt Sue helplessly declined my father. Thank you, but Yachuan's friend has come and said that she will take him out of the hospital. You've all gone to a lot of trouble during this time. At noon that day, we saw a girl helping Yi Yachuan get out of the car. Aunt Sue and Uncle Yi followed behind, and their faces showed no sign of joy or anger. I heard that Aunt Sue has always disagreed with this girl coming into the family. Why has she suddenly changed her mind? My mother shook her head and said, Yi Yachuan can't see. Aunt Sue has no choice but to agree. That night, Aunt Sue's family invited us over for dinner. I made an excuse to refuse, but Aunt Sue and Uncle Yi came to our house in person. If Qingyan is not available today, how about we have dinner another day? Your family has helped us a lot during this time. We don't know how to thank you. You must come to our house for a meal. Leaving Yi Yachuan aside, both in my previous life and this life, Aunt Sue and her husband have always been very kind to me. I couldn't decline and had to agree. When my mother arrived, she went to the kitchen to help Aunt Sue. My father and Uncle Yi got together, scratching their heads and contacting people everywhere to find a cornea. Only I was sitting awkwardly in the living room with Yi Yachuan and Jiyu. Jiyu took on the posture of a hostess and even poured me a cup of tea. I heard that you are the little childhood sweetheart who grew up with Yachuan since childhood. I smiled politely. Not really, we're just neighbors. Out of the corner of my eye, Yi Yachuan frowned, but when Jiyu leaned into his arms, his frown immediately relaxed. Jiyu smiled shyly. Yachuan has become more dependent on me since he lost his sight. I had no intention of competing with her, so I just smiled in agreement. In this life, I just want to keep my distance from Yi Yachuan. As for whether he, who has lost his sight, is happy or not, it's none of my business. At the dinner table, Aunt Sue and Uncle Yi drowned their sorrows in wine. After 3 rounds of drinking, they were all a bit tipsy. I helped Aunt Sue back to the bedroom. Auntie, you have a good rest. Yi Yachuan's condition is getting better day by day, don't worry too much. Everyone is still trying their best to find a cornea. Aunt Sue covered her face and burst into tears. We can't even buy a cornea with money. We all know that this is just a hope. I originally disagreed with Ji Yu coming into the family. Qing Yan, you and Yachuan are the ones who. I interrupted Aunt Sue with a smile. Auntie, Yi Yachuan and I are friends. You'd better help them fulfill their love. Aunt Sue was stunned for a moment and then nodded, and her tears flowed even more profusely. I helped my parents back home, before leaving. I looked back and saw Ji Yu looking up at the Yi family's house, her eyes full of greed. According to Yi Yachuan's personality, he must have looked for Ji Yu after the accident in his previous life, but Ji Yu rejected Yi Yachuan, who could see with one eye in his previous life, but changed her mind about Yi Yachuan, who is completely blind in this life. Ji Yu's intentions are probably not pure. 6. Yi Yachuan and Ji Yu got their marriage certificate soon, logically speaking. This should be a happy event, but Aunt Sue and Uncle Yi were frowning. Why does Aunt Sue have even more white hair than a few days ago? There was a hint of exasperation on my mother's face. She's still worried about Yi Yachuan. That girl is no good. Taking advantage of Yi Yachuan's blindness, she made exorbitant demands. The betrothal gift alone cost more than half of the Bai family's property, saying it was compensation from the Bai family to her. Yet Yi Yachuan said that he would marry no one but her. Your Uncle Yi was so angry that his heart disease almost flared up again. Marrying Ji Yu was Yi Yachuan's lifelong obsession, not to mention half of the property. Even if all of his wealth was taken away, Yi Yachuan would probably be happy about it. The only ones to be pitted were Aunt Sue and Uncle Yi. In their middle age, they still had to go through this disaster. After dinner in the evening, I went back to my room. In my previous life, I lost the sight of one eye. In this life, I naturally want to take a good look at the great rivers and mountains of the motherland. When I was making a travel plan, my mother suddenly knocked on the door. Qing Yan, Yachuan is looking for you. I frowned. After thinking about it, I had indeed been keeping my distance from him recently, so I got up and went downstairs. What's the matter? Yi Yachuan looked in the direction of my voice. Do you want to go for a walk? I looked back at my parents, put on a coat, and went out, but I didn't go far, just stood under the street lamp at the door. Yi Yachuan groped with his hands and didn't take a step. When he saw that I didn't come forward for a long time, he pursed his lips. Aren't you going to give me a hand? I clicked my tongue softly. A man and a woman should avoid physical contact. I need to keep my distance from a married person. Yi Yachuan tentatively walked over step by step. A small stone tripped him and he stumbled. I watched expressionlessly. After all, in his previous life, he banged on the table and said that he would rather be blind than see my face. The scene was still vivid in my mind. 7. Yi Yachuan stumbled over a distance that should have taken 1 minute and 10 minutes. I had lost my patience, but he took out a bag of wedding candies from his pocket. As usual, I took them out secretly for you. When I was a child, I was greedy, no matter what food there was at home. Yi Yachuan would always secretly take out a portion for me first. Is this why you came to see me? I tilted my head and looked at him, thinking carefully. My initial crush on him seemed to be because of his boundless kindness. Put it away, you're married and should pay attention to propriety. I casually found an excuse to refuse, but Yi Yachuan's eyes turned slightly red. He was also a bit emotional. I know your feelings for me. If we can't be lovers, can't we even be friends? You used to pester me every day. Now you're saying that I'm just your neighbor. I was stunned for a moment. Later, I remembered that he was referring to the time when we went to their house for dinner. I chuckled, although I didn't understand what he meant by that. I still returned the words he said in his previous life to him verbatim. Aren't you brainwashed by that nonsense about childhood sweethearts? We're just neighbors. There's no such complicated relationship between us. Yi Yachuan's expression froze for a moment. His ears turned red in embarrassment. I touched my slightly cold arm. It's too cold. Go back early. Can you walk back? Yi Yachuan lowered his eyes and stared at the ground, making it impossible to guess his emotions. I've walked this way 800 times. I could walk back and forth in my dreams. As soon as he finished speaking, I closed the door with peace of mind. If he fell and got hurt, it would really add to Aunt Sue's troubles. 2 days later, I got on the plane for a trip. I wore earphones and looked out of the window all the way, amid the clouds rolling and stretching. I threw all the grudges behind me. The world is wonderful. Wasting time and energy on a man is definitely not a wise move. 8. I spent half a year traveling to more than a dozen cities. Everywhere I went, I met all kinds of friends and even accidentally became a travel blogger. My parents followed my account. And the two of them competed every day to be the first in my comment section. But soon I noticed a strange private account. It would come to my comment section every day to make sarcastic remarks. A girl should stay at home and take care of her husband and children. What does it look like to show her face outside every day? No manners. Who knows where your money comes from? I asked a friend to track down this account. When I found out that it was Gu, I laughed. When chatting with my parents in the evening, I probed subtly. Yi Yaochuan and Gu have already got their marriage certificate. Why haven't they held a wedding yet? When it came to them, my mother seemed to have opened a chatterbox. Yaochuan always wanted to hold a wedding. But Gu disagreed. She said that it was embarrassing for her to have a blind husband. Aunt Su comes to pour out her grievances to me every day, that Gu is not as kind as she was before marriage at all. She has embezzled more than half of the Bai family's property. 2 months after marriage, she started to act like a tyrant over Yi Yaochuan. Aunt Su has seen her ask Yaochuan to pour her foot washing water more than once. This wouldn't be a big deal originally. But Yaochuan can't see the way. Once the old couple heard a banging sound in the middle of the night. When they came out to check, they found that Yaochuan had rolled down from the 2nd floor and was covered in foot washing water. Isn't this bullying? I listened intently and couldn't help but think of my previous life. 3 years after donating the cornea, my right eyeball started to atrophy. So every time Yi Yaochuan went to a gathering with his friends, he refused to take me out. Once I tentatively suggested going with him, and Yi Yaochuan refused without even thinking. Later, when he was annoyed by my pestering, he directly dragged me in front of the mirror. He blurted out, "Look at your own eyes. Isn't the atrophied eyeball scary?" At that moment, surprise, inferiority, and disbelief all flooded into my mind. Wasn't I like this to let him see the light again? But Yi Yaochuan didn't even give me a chance to refute and slammed the door and went out. Later, I overheard him talking on the phone with a friend and found out that he thought we were bound together in this life because of various ties. Just like now, Gu is certain that without her, Yi Yaochuan won't be wanted by anyone else, so she can treat him however she wants. It can be considered that the wheel of fortune has turned. 9. It was 3 months later when I went home again. I brought some local specialties from other places. My mother felt sorry for Aunt Su and gave half of them to her after lunch, but unexpectedly, 10 minutes later, my mother came back with a look of anger, and Aunt Su followed behind with red eyes. The originally well-packaged specialties were also damaged. What's going on? My mother was very angry. It's not like we married a daughter-in-law. It's like we married a Tyrannosaurus Rex. That Gu threw out all the things you bought. Not only did she make sarcastic remarks about you, but she also said that Aunt Su was turning her elbow outwards and was muddle-headed. It's only been a short time since they got married. In the future, she'll probably ride on the elders' necks and act arrogantly. Aunt Su took my hand. She had lost a lot of weight in a few months. If that incident hadn't happened, Bai and I would never have let this woman into the family. Auntie has heard Gu talking on the phone with a man in the middle of the night more than once. But I can't say anything. I can only pretend not to know. I poured Aunt Su a glass of water. I won't get involved in their family affairs, but I still have some old scores to settle with Gu, so I went straight next door. When Gu opened the door, she let out a disdainful, "Yo, the travel blogger is back. What? Are you here to fight for our family? You like to meddle in other people's business so much. Why don't you take the position of the Bai family's daughter-in-law?" I sneered and directly pulled up her account. "You thought you couldn't be found with a private account. For the past few months, you've been making malicious slander and leading the rhythm under my videos. The number of likes has accumulated up to 30,000. Do you know what the crime of slander is?" A trace of uneasiness flashed across Gu's face, but it disappeared in an instant. "If you say so, then it is. Do you have any evidence? I can even find out your IP. Do you think the police can't?" Gu curled her lips in disdain. "Can't I just delete it? It's too late. I've already preserved the evidence. Even if you delete it now, it won't be of any use." Only then did a trace of imperceptible panic flash across Gu's eyes, but she couldn't argue with me and turned around to call Yi Yaochuan out. 10. Yi Yaochuan couldn't see, and Gu didn't even bother to hide the look of disgust on her face. "Honey, what should I do? Your little childhood sweetheart is bullying me." Yi Yaochuan gently frowned and then started reaching out his hands to grope around. "Is Qingyan back?" Gu's face immediately darkened. "Yi Yaochuan, why is your first reaction not to defend me? After getting married, you don't love me anymore, do Do you? Yi Yachuan paused. Just as he was about to speak, Ji Yu drove him into the room. I watched coldly. Sure enough, men have a masochistic nature. In my previous life, Yi Yachuan married me. But he never said a word in my defense. Ji Yu's face was a bit distorted. See, men don't cherish what they have once they get it. What's the difference between having such a man and not having one? Yi Yachuan should be grateful that I haven't run away. I looked at her leisurely and asked the doubt in my heart. But why do you come to my place to show off? Yi Yachuan loves you to the core. Ji Yu's hand holding the door frame suddenly tightened. And she unconsciously gritted her teeth when she spoke. She lowered her voice. What's the use of his love? Isn't he still dependent on me for everything from eating and drinking to going to the toilet? Marrying him is like finding a son for myself. Otherwise, why do you think the Bai family is willing to give me so much money? Even you, who were his childhood sweetheart, have left. Who else would want him? I'm just angry. Why should I be like a housekeeper at home while you can live a colorful life outside? If it weren't for my poor background, I wouldn't earn this humiliating money. I felt a bit sighing and also felt that it was within my expectation. Even if you tell all these words to the Bai family, I'm not afraid. After all, their son is blind. I thought for a while and told her what the doctor said. Do you know that he became blind because you put an ornament on his steering wheel? When the airbag popped out, it injured his eyes. Ji Yu sneered. So what? He was willing. Sure enough, people of the same kind sleep in the same bed. Naturally, I wouldn't tell these words to anyone, but before leaving, I warned her again. If you don't apologize in my comment section within 24 hours, I will sue you for slander. Just an apology is not enough. If you talk back to my mother again in the future, I still reserve the right to sue you. At that time, I will hire the best lawyer and make you lose everything you have now. Ji Yu held the door tightly and was so stupid as to threaten me with Yi Yachuan. Yi Yachuan will be useless without me. I curled my lips and smiled. What does that have to do with me? 11. Ji Yu still couldn't bear to lose everything she had now and obediently apologized on social media in the evening, when she accidentally met my parents on the road. She also knew to greet them politely. Aunt Sue and Uncle Yi couldn't stand this kind of life, so they simply bought another house near their home and moved out. Being a travel blogger made me a freelancer. I went out to play with my friends every day and didn't come back until evening. My friends said I had changed. You used to be an introvert. Now why are you even more restless at home than I, an extrovert? I smiled but didn't answer. Probably because in my previous life, I was so afraid of staying at home after losing one eye. This time, I naturally want to make up for it all. Without Yi Yachuan, my life seems to be getting more and more colorful. But when I came home this evening, I met Yi Yachuan on the bench in front of my house. He had lost a lot of weight and was sitting there blankly, like a sculpture under the street lamp. He didn't look up slowly until he heard me say goodbye to my friend. Is Qingyan back? I frowned and walked towards him. What are you doing here? Yi Yachuan tightly held his cane. It wasn't until I was almost out of patience that he took out a jewelry box from his pocket. He opened it carefully, and then I saw that there was a jade bracelet of excellent quality inside. Qingyan, this is for you. I chuckled. This jade bracelet was the family heirloom of the Yi family. In my previous life, I never received it until the day I died, but in this life, Yi Yachuan took the initiative to bring it over. This should be given to your wife. I won't accept it. When Ji Yu was mentioned, Yi Yachuan's emotions suddenly became a bit agitated. Don't mention her. If it weren't for her, how could my eyes have become like this? These words sounded really familiar. In my previous life, he seemed to have said the same thing to me. Look, no matter how they choose, men can always shift the blame onto others and always see themselves as the most innocent. Remembering what happened in my previous life, I really didn't have a good attitude towards Yi Yachuan. What exactly do you want to say? Yi Yachuan looked extremely dejected. After a while, he opened his mouth. Qingyan, I regret it. Obviously, we were childhood sweethearts, so why did I fall for that Ji Yu? I've always known your feelings for me. I know I was wrong. I was about to interrupt him when I saw him raise his head full of anticipation. Qingyan, are you willing to save me? I really can't stand this world full of darkness anymore. I was shocked and couldn't help but sneer without any concealment. Are you crazy? Who do you think you are? Why should I save you? 12. Yi Yachuan slowly stood up, and 2 lines of tears even flowed from his eyes. I looked at him coldly and became more and more disgusted with him. If he doesn't get it, he has the nerve to ask for it. I must have been out of my mind in my previous life to have a crush on him. I turned around and wanted to leave, but then I suddenly heard him say a bit excitedly, "You will save me, you were originally going to give me a cornea." I paused and turned around in surprise to look at the man under the street lamp. So, Yi Yachuan had also been reborn. He took 2 steps forward and begged humbly, "Please save me one more time, weren't you willing to give me a cornea, why are you not willing now, Qing Yan? As long as you're willing to save me, I'll divorce Jiyu immediately and be with you, okay, we'll be very happy in the future, I'll love you for the rest of my life," I sneered, "and then dislike my atrophied eyeball and think it's embarrassing to take me out." Yi Yachuan was stunned for a moment and didn't react for a while. He mumbled, "What?" I helped him recall word by word. "Do you remember how you asked the AI questions? How can I make someone's cornea fall off? Help me design a perfect car accident. Can a person who died of carbon monoxide poisoning still donate their corneas?" Yi Yachuan, didn't you say that you would rather be blind for the rest of your life than see me, in this life, as you wished? You should be happy. Yi Yachuan froze in place, and the whole person was like being struck by lightning and couldn't say a word. I turned around and went home, leaving him apologizing bitterly behind me without stopping. When I closed the door, I could still hear the sound of Yi Yachuan falling. I didn't look back. In this life, I don't want to see him either. I don't know if it was because those words were returned to him verbatim, but I slept extremely soundly that night, but I never expected that the next day, I was woken up by the sound of police sirens and Aunt Sue's crying. 13. Both Yi Yachuan and Jiyu were dead when Aunt Sue went to deliver them breakfast. As soon as she opened the door, she smelled a pungent smell of blood. When she took a closer look, she found that Jiyu was lying on the stairs covered in blood, and the carpet on the stairs was dyed red. She had her throat slit. Yi Yachuan was also lying on the bed covered in blood, but he was inexplicably peaceful. When he was discovered, the corners of his mouth were even raised. However, besides the wound on his neck, there were 7 or 8 stabbing marks of different sizes on his upper body. Aunt Sue and Uncle Yi were crying uncontrollably. They fainted several times before barely managing to go to the police station to make a statement. "Officer, my son was obviously murdered." The police took out 2 mobile phones with a solemn expression. "They were picked up on the grass behind your house. After verification, they are exactly Yi Yachuan's and Jiyu's. We found a recording suspected to be a suicide note in Yi Yachuan's mobile phone. Listen to it." Yi Yachuan's hoarse voice slowly sounded, "Dad, Mom, I'm sorry. Forgive me for having to say goodbye to you in this way. I have no face to face you." Jiyu cheated. She brought that man back home the night before yesterday. The 2 of them bullied me because I couldn't see, and actually, in my room, Yi Yachuan's voice trembled a bit. "I really can't stand this kind of life anymore. It's just a pity that I didn't see Jiyu's true face until now. She married me just for money. I treated her so well. But this is how she repays me. If it weren't for her, maybe I wouldn't have gone blind. Even if I went blind, someone would donate a cornea to me. I didn't cherish it, but this bitch deserves to die. I thought about getting a divorce, but I'm not willing to let her take away more than half of the property. I'm afraid your life will be difficult in the future. After killing Jiyu, I will also commit suicide. I'm sorry, Mom and Dad, I've disgraced you. Is Qing Yan here? I'm sorry. I hope we can meet again in the next life." After listening to the recording, my parents and Yi Yachuan's parents were all crying their hearts out. The police also looked compassionate. After the forensic autopsy, it was judged that the wounds on Yi Yachuan's body should have been caused by Jiyu's counterattack after she was injured. Jiyu should have climbed to the stairs when she found that her mobile phone was missing and wanted to escape to find someone to save her life, but in the end, she bled to death. I lowered my eyes, feeling mixed emotions in my heart. Aunt Sue and Uncle Yi were the most pitiful people. As for Yi Yachuan, he said he hoped we could meet again in this life, but I hope we will never meet again in this and all future lives. 14. After dealing with Yi Yachuan's aftermath, Aunt Sue and her husband completely collapsed. Both of them had white hair overnight. My mother couldn't bear to see this and took care of them personally every day. Even with a nurse, she still wasn't at ease. When Aunt Sue's health improved a bit, I also went to see her. When she saw me, her eyes filled with tears. "Who are you?" to the patient. "Hurry up and sign the paper." I was too lazy to listen to words about him, so after helping Auntie wipe her tears, I changed the subject. "You and Uncle have a good rest and get well soon. Next time I go out, I'll take you with me, okay? In the future, you and Uncle will retire with my parents." This was my mother's suggestion. I once objected to it, but was criticized by my mother. "Have you forgotten how kind Aunt Sue was to you when you were a child? Yachuan is 2 years older than you. when you were born, you kept crying. At that time, our family's conditions weren't as good as they are now. I was exhausted. It was Aunt Sue who carried you up bit by bit. They've lost their son. If this continues, I'm afraid their health won't hold up in a short time." As my mother spoke, her eyes turned red. I didn't refute anymore. After getting married in my previous life, Uncle and Aunt